This is how I tune this guitar from the back.
Really? Wow. No, I'm just going to leave this in the podcast. Hi, everybody. I'm here with Gilad Hekselman. I'm really excited. I'm especially excited because he's tuning his Mafa guitar from the back. This is a first for me and probably for you too. Technology is our friend at Lo-Fi Central, aka my home. That was a contradiction I just expressed. Yeah, well, I'm so pleased to have Gilad here. He's really one of my favorite players and doing some of the most interesting guitar playing on the planet right now. So I'm just going to start in and ask you a few questions.
Go ahead.
One of the things that you were just doing before we turned the tape on that I especially love about what you do is how you accompany yourself. You can get two voices moving in a pretty unique way. Could you do a little bit of that just on a tune that people might know and just talk a little about it? And you might even just give people one or two exercises they could do to build that in their playing.
Yeah, sure. Any song you want?
No, it's up to you, totally.
How about like I Should Care or something?
And
Is that not enough?
I wouldn't be the person to ask.
Okay. Okay, so.
there's so much detail going on.
Thanks.
There's counterpoint, there's inner voices moving, there's bass line, not only speaking to the melody, but interacting with it at the same time. It's hard to know where to begin to ask you something practical that folks could do. I think it really starts with just being able to hear in two voices, right? Even if it's simple.
Yeah, I think it's like it comes together. At least my process was that. Like, there's always this point where you're kind of breaking through new territories, and you like in that place that's right in between actually hearing something and maybe forcing yourself to hear it for a little bit. So it's kind of how I practice anything, really. You know, kind of finding where my level is. I always give the example of, like, you know, the first time somebody showed me this chord, I couldn't hear that chord. You know, it was like, put your finger here, and then you put the next one here, and like there was this few days where like this was like an effort. Like I had to remember where to put the fingers, and but now it's like second nature, C major. That's how I play that chord.
Yeah.
So anything's like that.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, just take the first 4 bars of that song. Play the melody. Then play a bass line, and then put them together.
Yeah. So the most basic thing you can do is just put the really like the most basic bass note on the bottom of the note. So. That's already 4 bars, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then you can just do like start stretching that a little bit, maybe like adding like little ornaments. So. And it's kind of when the melody on the top is not as busy, like you have more CPU available for you to kind of think about a counterline. So one of the key components, and maybe it's obvious, but like sustaining that note is like really helpful, because that gives the brain this feeling that like things are happening at the same time. Like if you stop, if you go, it's still effective. It's a different effect, but it's not like this kind of tricks you to think that it's more polyphonic. So. Anything that helps you like kind of hear things moving in separate directions is helpful. So like anything that sorry, that was wrong. Something that, you know, where your scale goes in a separate direction, and then different rhythms. So. Anything like that you can find an exercise to work on. Just like it's more about getting used to the right hand kind of doing several things at the same time, and the left hand also doing several things at the same time. It's more about getting used to kind of thinking one step ahead, so you know where to place your fingers. Like if you do this kind of scale, like I had to think a little bit ahead to know that this G had to be here. And then I had to think ahead to that or to this. Quarter against quarter, so so it's a lot about getting used to just kind of being one step ahead of where the line is going. Each line is going, you know.
Wow. So I was just rediscovering Jimmy Weibel, who I took some lessons for actually a year and a half when I lived in LA.
Wow.
And I'm trying to play some of his etudes which deal with this very specifically, contrary motion and two voices, and they're really difficult actually. But
I never tried, but I like them a lot, and I never tried to play them.
Oh yeah, I'll make you a copy.
I have the book. I have the PDF, and actually, and I didn't know about him before he passed.
Mm.
And then one of his disciples, or like his main students, emailed me like right after. I remember Lage Lund posted a thing saying, you know, rest in peace, something like that. And I was like, who's that guy? Lage is saying he's one of his biggest inspirations. I wonder who that is. So I checked him out, and I was kind of like pretty amazed that I didn't know about his existence before he passed.
Isn't that interesting?
And then a few days later, I hear from this guy saying like, hey, you know, Jimmy Bible was you know, a fan of your music. He liked you. So I was like, holy shit, this is so crazy. Like he's coming back from the dead to say hi.
Wow. Well, there's so, you know, there's very few people who have focused on this. Was kind of the point I was getting to, and he was one of the first, if not, you know, in certain ways, the first to do what he did. And I think that part of the reason is it's so challenging to, you know, to get independent voices moving on the guitar. Part of it for you and him, he played classical guitar, so he had a lot of right
fingers,
hand.
right? Only nails or
I think he also played with a pick, but when he did his etudes, it was just classical, not only fingers. And I noticed you're hybrid picking with a lot going on here, which for some reason I was never able to do. It kind of hurt my arms, but I think
that's the opposite. I could never do the up down thing.
Oh,
that makes my arm hurt.
Yeah,
I tried.
Huh. Well, so when I'm doing something like that, I just put the pick down. But let's see the same thing that you're doing, but with the bass sound that we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
So you know, when you play with your trio, it's almost like Charlie Hunter. You know, you're getting a lot.
I wish.
Yeah. Well, I did say almost.
Well,
nobody's like him.
Yeah.
But you're getting a lot of, you know, real bass line playing going while you play. So maybe you could just do a simple vamp and just kind of get it.
I could try. Yeah, I mean, you know, so the main trio thing that I do is not like there's a bass player, and then like with some trios without bass, I don't have my looper here, so it's kind of it's a little different. But I could show you a little bit of
just a little bit, yeah.
So this new guitar, Nico Mofa, the maker of this guitar, he made this pickup that has like a split output, so the two bottom strings can actually go out of one output and the other one, the rest of them to another amp. But I'm running it through my pedal board, which is the HX Stomp essentially, and it has two separate channels for them, so I can have like the bass really sound kind of big and fat. So this is the normal sound, and then if I switch to this pickup. That's a tune of mine, the Head Rocker.
Oh, that's off your latest record, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about that record for a second.
Firestar.
Man, it's so great. I'm really a fan of your writing, and talk to us a little bit about the evolution of your writing. Do you feel that this is something that, how is it evolving as you, obviously, we talk a lot about how our playing is evolving, and sometimes it's really obvious over the course of 10 years, but writing, what about that? What are you trying to do with your writing? How has it changed over the years? What are your aspirations, influences?
Yeah, I don't know if I know how to answer that really. I mean, I would say like one big difference kind of happened after I moved to New York. I remember realizing that I used to write like, short charts, which is actually a good thing, but I used to write like one-pagers because that's the standards that I used to play. So I was like, okay, I should write one-pagers. But then I heard people like Omer Avital and like Ben Wendell and like a lot of great composers, other ones too, that were like, there was a lot of variation, like A2 and A1 and A2 would be different, even if it's a slight variation, it will be written. So one conclusion was like, oh, don't be lazy when you write a chart. Like, if, make sure that you really create as much variation as needed. Moving in the other direction, the last I don't know 4 or 5 tunes that I've written are all one-pagers, and whenever I bring a one-page, everybody's like so happy. It's like, oh yeah, one-pager.
Yeah.
People are happy with it.
That's good to go back and forth.
Exactly, but how it evolved? I mean, it honestly, it always just. This is probably pretty obvious, but it always just tries to like kind of like create the feeling that like I crave when I listen to music. Like I just try to write things that I think I would probably enjoy to listen to. Like, that's it.
That's as basic as it gets.
Yeah, but it's like it may be easy to forget sometimes. Like I fell in love. I deeply fell in love when I first heard Michael Jackson. That was like my moment of like, holy shit, this is this feels really good. And I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. So, if I can kind of like tap into, and then of course there's been many other musicians that gave me that feeling, and all of them are quite different from Michael Jackson many times, but they all gave me that same feeling of like, oh, that feels really good. Like I want to do that. So, I've been basically on a search to just recreate that feeling through my own compositions. That's it. It could be achieved in so many different vehicles.
Well, I do notice two kind of strains. One is a lot of really interesting rhythm cycles, not your obvious choices, but yet very approachable in a certain way. Like you feel it in your body.
That's good, yeah.
And then also real harmonic lyricism. It's one thing to write a beautiful melody, but even going over the tunes that you added to our guitar book, Modern Jazz Standards for Guitar, they're harmonically really rich, very melodic.
That's the kind of music that I listen to at home. Like, when I put on a record, it's usually like beautiful songs.
Give us some examples.
Yeah,
You're at home.
Gilberto, Beatles.
Classical music?
Sometimes, yeah, not as often, but yeah, sure.
And you
MJ.
But you also, I know you like some Americana music too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but yeah, I enjoy a lot of, like, we talk about the Grateful Dead. Like, I grew up listening to a lot of that. One of my best friends growing up was a massive Deadhead. We had like hundreds of cassettes at home, like a whole wall of cassettes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you're not afraid to just play an open A chord, right?
I'm not. It sounds good, yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk just a little bit more about how you approach the standard repertoire. I'm trying to remember now, going back over your records, you don't really have your own record of all standards, do you?
Not a whole record. No, all my records have originals. I do use some standards in some of my records, especially the earlier ones. I have one in the can that I haven't released yet, but it's all standards. With trio with Becca Stevens and Antonio Sanchez.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's kind of like in the vault,
Huh.
waiting for it to ferment.
Yeah. Well, give us some, I don't know, if you would just play another standard tune, and then we can kind of watch your creative process as you go through it.
Okay. Yeah, happily.
I don't know what that song was. I'm sorry to say.
I've grown accustomed to her face.
Man.
I forget which play it's from play. I forget which one.
Well, I was just noticing some very personal. I'm going to use the word tricks, but that's not inaccurate. And I want to ask you about them. First of all, I'd be scared to even try to do some of those stretches you're doing. So you're doing something where you're, well, that's not so bad, but you did this a lot. You do that so that inner voice is moving. You're also doing something where I realize you're using your pinky also.
Yeah. Don't tell the police.
How?
Oh man.
How did you ever make this thing work?
That's one of those things that like people always told me don't use your pinky, and I was like, but why?
Well, one of the things you do is you get, in this case, you had an actual inner voice going, and you were working above it. Sometimes I've heard you do a top note that repeats like a pedal point, and then you're working around it. Can you just show us that for a second? I
was doing. You mean on this last?
Yeah, but I've seen you do it all over the neck.
Yeah, so I use the pinky for that.
And you're repeating it while other stuff is going on, which is really great sound.
Yeah, and then like sometimes you kind of create an effect. I didn't think about it, but later on I figured that's probably what's going on. Where like if you pick at first and then you switch to the pinky, it kind of it could sound continuous to the ear. So like you know what I mean? Like because the line came from the pick.
I have.
Yeah, you're going to pick.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? Like because it comes from that sound that the brain kind of goes, oh, it's that line, so it's that sound. It's still that sound.
Yeah.
So like I'll go like. So you still hear that same sound, but I'm actually using the pinky now.
Wow. There's some chords you're doing that I have never seen. There was some like thing going up. You probably know a couple of the chords that I'm talking about that are big stretches and pretty unusual.
I have a lot of those.
Can you show us?
One of my pandemic projects was a topic I call big chords, and it's any chord that's bigger than 5 notes. So like I have a whole massive list of those, and I categorize them according to the top notes. So like if I wanted to play like a sus chord with a 13 on top, I might play this chord. If I wanted to have a sharp 11, it would be this guy. If I wanted to play like a sharp 5, that or that. But I had this experience, maybe you had the same, where like I would find a cool chord, and then like, man, I gotta remember to use this, and I'll just never use it. So I developed this list thing, but the difference with this one is that I actually found a system to categorize them so that I can recall them when I need them, because they're based on the melody note. They're like, so like if I want like a 7 with a sharp 5, this one is one of my options, you know what I mean? Or this one, or like I don't know, I have a few more probably, but you know what I mean, like or this one, that's more common, I guess. But or this guy is nice.
Okay, wait a minute. Can you just tell us what the notes
so
are? So you're playing 2 notes with your second finger.
Yeah, 1, 4, 7.
Right.
And then the third, sharp 9. This guy is an E.
I see. I can't do that. And I
anchoring.
caution the listener at home to be
to
careful of the tendonitis. No, seriously, because you're stretching more than most people can stretch.
I guess
that's
so.
like a Ben Monder stretch.
Ben has really long fingers. I don't. But what I realized at some point is like it's all about the anchoring. So once you know where to anchor the chord, like if you, press it here first, then you can kind of do this. Like,
Yeah.
just press this down alone for a second.
Uh-huh.
And then try to just see if you can move that all the way there. Maybe you can't, you know, it's like, that's possible.
Yeah.
But you can do the upper register. You do
Yeah.
it here. Like,
Yeah, probably higher up I could.
is that right?
Yeah, maybe. But
But you come up with all those.
nonetheless, whether I can do it or not is not the point. Somebody out there can, and that's really amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been like, I always felt like inferior in terms of my voicings. For my
Really?
yeah, for real.
When hope that stopped a while ago.
No, I mean, I'm still working on it, so obviously not. But like, actually, up until the pandemic, I felt pretty inferior with my voicings. So that was like kind of like my moment to actually spend some go all the way in there and try to figure this out.
What about close voicings on?
Yeah, those are great. So I like those, but sometimes I'll combine them with a really big voicing too. So like for example, like this crazy chord, like 7 chord, but with a flat 9 on top here. So like a 7 chord.
You're all the way up in the D there with the pinky.
Yeah.
That's too far.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. But this kind of stuff, like it has both the rub and like the cushion at the same time.
Yeah.
The rub and the cushion. That's the name of my new band.
Well, it's one thing to play that chord. It's another thing to get to it and away from it in a timely fashion.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I developed this system of like of going through, like I would have the big list, which is every time I think of a cool chord like that, I would write it down. And then I have the sub list. So the working list is like the list. It's only the 5 category of chords. So like major, minor, dominant, diminished, half diminished. Those are the 5. And then I would say, okay, this month this voicing, I really like it. I never play it. I want to get it in there, so I'll put it in that list. And they're, so imagine like this. These are the 5 like major, dominant, minor, half diminished, diminished, and then it's 1 on top, 2 on top, 3 on top, etc. You know, so any possible note on top, and then I sound like a mad scientist, don't I?
Well. Yeah, I'm trying to follow you. Let's
say I'm playing you know, whatever, all the things you are, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get the melody. So let's say this month, my chord for a minor with a 3rd on top is this voicing, okay? And then it will be the same one. And then I have the 3rd on top, so maybe it's this one. And then for the 3rd on a major, it will be this. So I'll just go on one, or I could also alternatively try to voice lead chromatically. So I'll go like, let's say I'll start with the 9 on top. So let's say this is this guy, and then the next one will be flat minor. So I want the 7 on top. So maybe that's my voicing here. Then maybe this voicing here for the sharp 11 on top, and then maybe the 9 will be this one.
Ouch.
And then maybe the 6 would be this guy, and then maybe the sharp 9 would be, and maybe the major 7 would be, I don't know, you know, so like I kind of go by, I just use the algorithm basically. I don't have to think much.
All right, let's play a game. I'm gonna play the melody, just the melody. I'm not gonna do anything else to all the things you are.
Okay.
And let's just cycle through, and I'm just gonna let you play chords to your heart's content. Okay. Let's see what happens.
Just slowly, okay?
Yeah, definitely. No, that's the point. Is watching the chords go by. This isn't the counterpoint or the
right.
Okay. So about 1, 2, 3, 4. really cool.
I wouldn't choose all those. I was kind of playing with big chords.
But as an exercise, it's a lot more than an exercise. It was actually really beautiful.
Yeah, some of them are really pretty. This one, the beat diminished. I was trying to catch something, and I couldn't catch it fast enough. But I think I was trying to catch this guy.
That's what I was. I got to hold on. So that's
beat diminished, right? So 1, 11, 6, sharp 11, flat 6.
Wait, I'm off here. So you're at the C.
The B diminished.
Sorry. Yep.
The bar.
Oh, you're barring there. Okay.
6, yeah.
So that's kind of hard. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Wait a minute. So you're doing 2 notes with that.
Yeah.
That's hard for me because I
this?
can't quite.
Did you do that?
Maybe I could. No, that's hard for me.
That's hard for me. That one's hard for me.
Anyway, keep going.
So 1, 11, 6, sharp 11. But here though, on this string, on the 3rd string, exactly. And then this. No, don't give up. You're almost there.
This become a therapy session.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You had it. Yeah, and then this guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then this one is barred. This one is barred. Come on.
It might actually injure me.
No. I've heard this complaint because I have my Patreon, so I show those chords there, and this is the main complaint that I've gotten. Like people can't bar with the middle finger. Like that's hard.
It's a little, yeah. I mean, it just doesn't quite because there's just not room when I get to the 4th string.
It's a matter of getting used to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm sure if it did that enough, I'm sure it would open up some.
Yeah. It's not even like a physical like opening of like a joint or something.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of like getting used to the touch of it.
Yeah. My issue is that I had tendonitis 30 years ago, and that made me very cautious about left-hand stuff. So
that's understandable.
This part of what you're showing us, I will not be partaking in, but others are welcome to.
Fair enough.
Wow. So tell us about how your practice routine goes and how it may have changed over the years. Like you've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
So time is precious.
Absolutely.
What's a day like for you?
Oh man.
When you have 2 hours.
Yeah, every day is different. It's kind of like I have to kind of remind myself to prioritize. So like, usually I have more than 2 hours if I'm not on the road, and I would kind of, there's the things that I must do, which is one thing that I actually must do is my child's play. Like I have to pick up the guitar first thing in the morning and have no agenda, so that has to happen, even if it's half an hour. Like there has to be that.
Yeah.
I have to like remember the kid picking up the guitar and just curious of what comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is if there's music that I have to learn for a gig or a recording, then I'll spend time on that because I'm not the world's. I'm pretty good, but I'm not the fastest sight reader, so I usually have to spend quite a bit of time with music before I can play it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to embarrass myself, so I spend time doing that. But then like it changes, it kind of like. I usually say like it kind of falls under 5 categories, and like the main ones are like, what do I think I'm not strong at, and what do I hear somebody else do that I wish I could do. And then I just kind of go fixing. I'll finish a gig and I'll feel like, oh, that song, the diminished chord, I can't play that voicing, or you know what I mean. Like I'll have like a list of things that I wasn't able to accomplish, and I'll just try to see which one is the biggest fire to deal with,
Yeah.
So it really changes. Like, and in fact, like one of my big things that I talk to with students, and this maybe it's a matter of taste, but like my opinion is that keep having the same practice every day for the rest of your life the same like few exercises that you feel like you have to get, is, at least to me, it feels like an unhealthy thing to do. Like practice has to be a thing that directly connects to your needs as a musician. Like what do you need to work on is the question that needs to be asked. If it becomes kind of a therapeutic process that like you go through the motions, then maybe that's what you need. But like you're probably not going to get a lot better from doing it.
Wow, that's great. So I have a request. Last year, Gilad is one of our core teachers at the Alternative Guitar Summit Camp, full moon every summer. And last year, he and Bill Frisell played Body and Soul, an exquisite version of that, which kind of made it hard to play the tune for another few months after that. It was magic, and I'll be posting that, by the way.
That was one of my best memories in life. It's like,
so would you play that song with me? And well, let's not think about that version when we do it, and then we'll watch. We'll get to see your skills as an accompanist as well.
Sure.